Welcome everyone to the Cluster Puck Podcast, part of the MHRT network here at Center Ice. I am Nick. Beside me here is Brit. There she is. She's shown up. Sorry about that. Having some internet problems.
Yeah, I don't know if that's me or not.
How's it going, Brit?
Good. How are you doing?
It's probably me. I have a crap ton of tabs open, so I'm trying to close everything I can, so we can just have it focused on this. But okay, I think that should take care of the problem. But yeah, anyways, welcome everyone. Like I said, before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe, follow the MHRT network so you can get notified when shows like the Cluster Puck Podcast go live. We have shows every day, so you can, if you want to like and subscribe on the various platforms that they have, we ask that you do so. If you want to follow us, you can follow us specifically at the Cluster Puck Podcast on Facebook and Cluster Puck Abs on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. Okay, so that being said, Brit, hockey is finally back.
Indeed.
And even though it comes in the form of a preseason, we still get to see Avalanche play hockey.
Yeah, it's definitely some like messy hockey. I mean, it was sloppy. It was preseason when your first line is your third line. It's not ideal, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, there were, I mean, you had a couple of big names play to the likes of Ross Cole, Miles Wood, Tomas Tatar, and Jack Johnson. They all had pretty good outings, kind of with what you were expecting. They were just trying to take it easy, get a feel for the ice, the team, that kind of stuff. All except for Jack Johnson, which I thought for sure that was like Nathan McKinnon or Cale Makar. They just threw on for Jack Johnson. Poetically, oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's like, stop calling me old. He's gonna prove why he's not old.
Amazing. Just deking between the legs, making defenders spin around, and it was just the most incredible thing. And I was like, if we get this during the regular season, I'd be more than happy with that.
Yeah, it would be hard. Sorry, I'm trying to find my glasses. It'd be hard to be mad about that because, especially when you consider, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but like he was one of the ones that they put out like in that big Olympic shootout. Like he's supposedly like a shootout master. So I mean, the guy's got hands, especially for being so clunky and kind of dorky. He's really got a nice set of hands. So maybe we'll see the new era of Jack Johnson. The hands
maybe. Master. I think now that we got the player spotlight on him, he said, well, with all this new attention, gotta go and do stuff,
Just been waiting.
Gotta go and do stuff. But as far as that preseason game is concerned, I mean, obviously we have probably, I think the next 2 weeks preseason, we do have another one today at 7:00 in Ball Arena. The Avalanche are going to be playing the Vegas Golden Knights. You're going to be seeing names like Ryan Johansson, Bo Byram, Alexander Georgiev, I think is going to be in the mix. Yeah. Jonathan Bruin is going to play.
Just opened it. Yeah, so, it should be it'll be interesting to see, especially like forewarning, everybody needs to not freak out immediately about Georgie. A lot of times it's harder for NHL goalies or really any goalie to step down and play a lower level. It's messy and sloppy and you don't have the right defense. And so he might come out and drop a bomb tonight, but that's kind of to be expected even from your starting goalie. Mm-hmm. Like in
you see. Sorry, go ahead.
So we've got Peter Holland, Ben Myers. Was Ben Myers out at the last one? I only got to watch bits and pieces. And then we'll see.
I don't think Myers came out of the eye.
Okay, so we've got Bo, Johansson, Johnny Fairbrother, who was part of that trade with what did he come over with? One of our trades.
Newhook, if I'm not mistaken.
Was Newhook? Yeah, yep, that's right. Yep. We'll see Olausen, O'Connor, Joanne, Steinberg, who has been kind of people really, really like him. Poland will be out there, which is interesting because he did have a small injury at some point during training camp. McDermott, Myers, Keaton Middleton, we all know him. Jeremy Hansel, which people are also into him. And then Sir Ivan. I'm not sure where it ends with the Ivans, but he will be out there.
Ivan. That's a good one.
It's just such a bizarre. I thought it was a joke when I saw it in like the World Juniors or something. I thought it was a joke, but it's definitely not. I don't know if his parents have no creativity or if they have boundless creativity and humor.
I mean, hey, you can never go wrong with his name. I mean, just start repeating it a number of times and you said his full name and then some. So
Yeah.
no, I think, I mean, and that's I think the good thing about these types of preseason games is when you do throw in those new ones that you just acquired, for example, like Joel Kiviranta, who did have a goal in that last game against Minnesota, their first preseason game yesterday. But then you also throw in people to the likes of Miles Wood and, veteran players. You see kind of, I guess, it's more for just quick conditioning for the veterans, but it's
You're breaking up for me.
the fourth line trying the cut kind of thing. Is that any good?
I can hear you now. Yeah, you're breaking up for me. I missed that. So yeah, you said like the fourth liners get out there, they bust their ass, but everybody above the second line that's guaranteed.
Exactly.
They just feet from under them, feel the game, hear some real whistles.
Yeah, and that's just it. It's who's going to make that cut, because you and I have had this discussion about our depth, right? As who we think is going to be a depth player, who we think is going to take control of that fourth line alongside Andrew Cogliano and Logan O'Connor. But that's not to say that Ben Myers has that fourth line spot solidified, basically, if that makes any sense.
No, for sure. And in Bednar's interview after the game, he essentially came out and said that spot is not his. It's kind of an exciting time because usually there's really quick front runners that there's like this guy or this guy, but we have several guys that are contending for very, very limited NHL time in filling those roster spots. So, I mean, it's a very tight competition there. Olofsson has been is very good. Kiviranta has come out pretty good, and it's just weird with the preseason games because you're kind of looking at more of the individual game, the individual drive, the ability to cultivate energy out of, because they're just, these guys don't know their systems. A lot of these guys are not like coming to a team and playing on a team for the first time. You've got 3 guys on a line that have all never played together or played in this town. So it's a very interesting time for them, but you're just kind of looking more for that individual game, I think. I'm not sure if I'm breaking up or if you are. Let's see. I'm going to, if anyone wants to shoot me a comment, Allie, if you can let me know if it's me or him, but I'll just keep going in case he is restarting. But yeah, so we were just talking about like the holes in the lineups. I'm glad that I didn't pay to go to we talked about going to that Minnesota Wild game, which it was a pretty good game. It was pretty messy. There was a lot of penalties. Like in the first 10 minutes, there was maybe like 5 to 7 penalties. But it was good. It was good hockey. It was really, I think my main takeaway coming out of it was feeling really reassured in seeing Onanen play. He took off his helmet and my husband's like, is that guy 9? But he's a very young looking person, but he is a large goalie. And he looked different than, like, I think it was like a St. Louis game that we had him come out. He came out and got pounded a couple times, but he looked solid. He looked confident. He looked just ready. And that's really hard to do even in preseason, but usually you see like some hesitation in goalies out. But I just feel really reassured. If we do go in with him as our number 3, I'm not worried about that at this point, or even our number 2, depending on, we don't know where Frankie is. I'm sure the Avs, they know where he is, but I am comforted in that also because we've invested a lot of time and effort into him. So it is nice to see that they are putting him out there, and if he can just continue from an upward trajectory from here, which generally is the goalie way, they get hot, ride that hot hand. So I'm just hoping to, hey, hello, Nick. I was kind of going through the game. I don't know if you got to watch, but it was a penalty fest. But I was just saying that my biggest takeaway, because it's really something that more where you assess individuals than lines, players, teams. But my biggest takeaway is I feel very confident in Onanen at this point. He looked confident. He looked prepared. He didn't look stressed at all. I wish we could have seen him finish the game. I hate goalies playing half a game. It's the grossest thing ever to go in for half a game or to have to leave when you're playing hot or to have to leave when you're playing like shit and you don't get any redemption. Like in any way, shape, or form, it's always the worst. So I wish we could have gotten to see him finish it up. But how are you feeling pretty good about him right now like I am, or am I just being my goalie sympathizer self?
I don't think Annanen's going to be much of a problem just based off of the limited time we did see, and that's kind of like with what we discussed last week is as long as he's getting that playing time and as long as he's actually like getting experience under him, I think he's going to end up rising to the occasion just fine. Now, as far as how long, because of Francouz's injury, we don't know how long, all that kind of stuff. But if you give him the chance, you give him some opportunities, and as the season progresses, we'll kind of know who's good right now, who's not good right now. Just get him some NHL experience, and I think, and my hope is that he does take the reins, takes advantage of the opportunity, and we end up having, if Francouz is out for the season, we have a dependable backup.
Right. Yeah. And that's, it's so hard to gauge what they're going to do without knowing where Francouz is. And we all know that they're not going to tell us until the second somebody literally like beats it out of them, or he's just coming back, or he's out forever. That's just kind of how the apps roll. But I'm comforted. Even if he isn't going to be a starting NHL goalie, my dream is that we see Georgiev out for the rest of his career, because goalies peak so much later than players. I think Georgie is 32? Or is he even younger than that? He could be a long way away from his peak. And I just want to break free from this like refusal to have a franchise goalie. 1996, holy cow. He's a baby.
He's younger than me.
Okay. Oh my gosh. So I don't know, but they don't want to pay goalies, and it's risks that they're willing to take, but I would like to see him through. So, we could have him literally for 10 more years and not even, goalies peak and they have sudden revivals. So you can squeeze a lot out of an older goalie. And even if Onanen proves himself just to be a perfectly sufficient backup for a long time, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to get something out of it.
No, it will. It would, and that's the thing. It's like because that was the whole expectation with Pavel Francouz, right? Is to be that he was going to take the reins from Varlamov, and then all of a sudden Grubauer comes in and he ends up kind of taking the front seat, and then as soon as he left, it's like, okay, now for sure we'll get Francouz, and then Darcy Kemper for a year, you win the cup, and then it's like, okay, great, now who's going to follow it up after Kemper leaves? Then you sign Georgiev, and you're like, okay, so maybe his battle and whatnot, and then Georgiev still proves that he can take that first seat. So
yeah,
maybe with Annunen there's that little bit of difference of scenery, or that more competitive fire instead of, and this isn't to say that Francouz has this mentality, but this competitive fire saying it's my objective to, I guess, dethrone the 1A, right? Because it's a good problem to have.
Onanen's to lose for this foreseeable future. Sorry, it's breaking up a little bit.
And that's the thing. Oh no, you're fine. But it's one of those things where it's like at this point, Annunen has a chance that's falling into lap to get real NHL starting time in a regular season. And I think, based off of what I saw, I think he's going to be just fine. Now, obviously, there's going to be growing pains. There's going to be all this type of stuff to try and fit in on an NHL roster. But I think he's up for the challenge. I think he will go ahead and prove himself, and he did for a couple games last season. But I think with a higher batch of samples for him, I think is going to be really, really good for him.
Yeah. And, it's, goalies are weird because some people, I know that it's been discussed here regarding his AHL play. He's had some struggles, but there just isn't a direct comparison to playing in the NHL and playing in the AHL. I don't want to say that it gets easier when you go up to the NHL, but it becomes more predictable. So some people thrive playing up because it is more predictable. You're playing with less bounces, more, everything is so intentional. So you just never know if he's in the, if he's in the right head spot. He might come up and pop it off. We'll see. I hope so, though. I would like to see it. And we all know damn well that Frankie could have been a starter if the guy could just stay healthy for 20 minutes. It's a shame.
Yep.
But I do think that this is kind of the last go around with him and injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And probably for him too. It has to be
and that's
to prepare yourself to play
it does
of a season.
Yep. And that's the thing. It's, and it's kind of like with Alex Newhook, you can kind of begin to see the writing on the wall as far as like the ending year on the Avalanche. And unfortunately, like with Newhooks, we thought maybe it was one more season, then he moves on. But still, it's like it wasn't the most surprising news when we did end up trading him this last offseason. And unfortunately, I kind of see that same thing happening with Francouz as well. I mean, love the guy to pieces. I really do want him to be a lifelong Avalanche. But that's the thing. It's like at the end of the day, this team, it's still a business. You're still having to make the move that fit the team in order to win the Stanley Cup. And if that's one of them where you're moving on from Francouz, and again, this is all really early. It's we're blinders on in the now. That's kind of where we sit, right? So obviously take it all with a grain of salt. But if that's the move that has to be made, it's unfortunate, but that's what has to be done.
Yep.
So anyways, as far as now going on to this preseason, kind of going like before my whole internet escapade, hopefully that's all taken care of and done. But I was asking as far as fourth liners, right? So we saw, we'll see Ben Meyers tonight. I don't know if you watched enough of the game on yesterday's game to notice anybody, right? As far as who might make a name for themselves, who might give Ben Meyers, maybe even Cogliano, a run for their money. Was there anyone that did stick out to you, or anyone of noteworthy?
Maybe Olofsson. I think that he is somebody that we've been, he's just someone that kind of stood out. Part of the main thing that I kept focusing on, like a lot of the time, was like, holy crap, Miles Wood is fast, and holy crap, Tufte is huge. That guy is like 6'8".
The guy, maybe even 8 foot.
Line was
like big.
6'8", is that what it is? I think like 6'8", and I think I heard like 250 something. The guy's got to be super scary on the ice.
Monster.
Yeah, but I didn't really get enough to really, really pick out someone. I was trying to see. I don't know. I think that Olofsson is kind of the one that stands out for me, but from what I'm gathering is that it doesn't seem like nobody separated themselves entirely, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's just it. It was because you had the goal from Volby, you had the goal from Kiviranta, and you had the goal from Tufte with like 9 seconds or so left. But
yeah,
I think as far as players, at least that caught eyes, like I said, or like you said, no one really like stuck, the cream didn't rise directly to the top or anything like that. But someone that could be turning heads, it's all with potential, is in fact Riley Tufte. He played very well.
Yep.
And that goal that he had, even though it was 9 seconds left in the game and you weren't going to win, it was a fine shot and a fine goal, So I would say he's one that's turning heads. One that I hope will turn heads is Kiviranta. I really do think if he wants to be part of this organization, which we mentioned he wants to be, then he's got to kick it up a little bit, because like he had that goal early on, but then didn't really do much else after that. So it's full 60 minutes of play, but it's still preseason game one. There's still plenty of games left to.
That goal was bomb. Like the angle that puck went in the net, Michael, we watched it like 4 times. And I think we finally gathered that it went like under the glove between, which that's like the lethal, like that 13 inches off the ice. And it was from just like he was so far to the side. It was a really good goal. It was really nice. I like a good, pretty goal, because you don't usually snipe like that and just catch the goalie totally off. But he picked that pocket.
He did. It was a thing of beauty. Now, granted, it wasn't as beautiful as Logan Cooley's goal, because oh my gosh, I don't know if we watched that live, and my jaw hit the floor.
It's literally like someone just pressed the
amazing
code. Oh my god! Like they turned him onto the Mario super speed. It was almost like embarrassing. Like he was playing with mites and showing off. It's. And that's what a lot of people really Cooley. What did he end? Did he end up going 2? Was he second overall? Because was it Slafkowski?
Second or third, I want to say.
Or am I mixing up the drafts?
Or maybe like 5th. He was top 5 or something like that. But
I think he should have been
they picked up a good one, because he's that right there is going to be like, hey, well, here's your new Clayton Keller. Fun. He's going to be right in that mix for the Calder Trophy award.
Arizona's got to be so happy that he decided to come early, and he's that Calder award though is like, could you imagine being a rookie this year, even if you're an all-star and you got to enter when Bedard does, and it's like, well,
well, that's just it. You have Bedard, Fantilli.
It's going to be
Leo Carlson that might be in there. It's going to be a deep rookie base here this year. So going to be tough, but still, if he's pulling moves like that, give him the award now, because that might just be goal of the year, and the year hadn't even started.
Yep.
So no, super fun stuff from him. So. But as far as the Avalanche, though, you got to give it some time and stuff. So, and we'll probably, this time next week or a couple weeks from now or something, before the regular season begins, maybe we give an actual report on who we think should maybe be in that 4th line, because that's just it. Is you have 3 lines and 2 of your 4th line pretty much solidified. So it's really who's going to be that wild slot.
I'm curious, because like that. Colton with Miles Wood and Tatar, I'm curious to see how they kind of pan out. It didn't seem to. It was like they didn't seem to flow really well together right away. The transition, just kind of that forward movement. They operate great in the ozone, but it seems like they're all wanting to shoot the puck versus doing everything that comes prior to it. It was funny because I had talked about how Miles is so fast. It would be nice to see him kind of get in on that Cogliano O'Connor action where they're so fast that they beat everybody. And I swear, right when I turned on the altitude radio, and Miles Wood was on a breakaway in a penalty kill. So I was like, here we go, because he got a good breakaway. Those. It's like, this is exactly what we wanted him for. But I'm curious.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, and that's what he really is. No, sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you. I feel like every time I start is when you come back.
No, you're fine. So. I'm a little behind, so you keep going.
I'm curious to see how that line pans out, and how they might have to make their decision for maybe not the most standoutest person in preseason, but who fits the hole that we determine we need after seeing kind of our regular NHL roster jive a little bit. It'll be interesting to see, but it's also might be an up and down game. We'll see.
Yeah. I think this line, apart from, they're going to get goals, right? All 3 of those lines, all 4 even, are going to get goals. But I think this 3rd line, it's going to kind of be your blue collar line, where it's going to be a lot of the rough and tough, scrum in your face type deal. but they're going to be all hard fought, worked hard for goals. Whereas, that first line, it might come like it's heaven sent. It's your God-given right, basically. But I'm excited to see exactly how that does gel. And like we said, one game in, you're trying to figure out each other. You're trying to guess where the chemistry can meld and what you can work on and improve on and stuff like that. But I think by the time the regular season rolls around, they'll have kind of gotten stuff communicated, figured out. They'll know each other well enough to know, oh, he has a tendency to pass like this, or oh, when he shoots, most of the time it pulls this way, or
and it's
so. I think give them 2 weeks together and it'll be good.
Yeah, and then it's also always interesting to see in these times kind of how our special teams develop. We got to see some Ross Colton on the penalty kill. It's interesting to see who ends up working in those jobs when they hadn't had those jobs before, but with a new team, sometimes they work a little bit differently. So I'm always curious to see how those end up, because that is a very important job in the NHL if you can be on the penalty kill or the power play. So it's interesting to see how ours will change, especially because we lost a lot of those blue collar special teams guys that killed just time and minutes and ate up ice the whole time, and we lost some really important people in that aspect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so definitely will be very fun to see exactly kind of what does come of it. And like we said, there's a game tonight at 7, so we'll make sure we give everybody enough time to hop off of this, go to watch the game. But that's something, look forward to that kind of stuff, because like we said, Ryan Johansson will be playing this time, Bo Byron will be playing this time. Who else were the big names? Georgiev, we talked about
for tonight.
Who else?
So
Bruin, I think we said.
Johansson, O'Connor, Olausson, Steinberg, Poland, McDermott, Myers, and then like Peter Holland. I don't see.
Yeah.
It's weird because I thought that we may have seen an announcement today for letting go of any PTOs, but we hadn't yet, other than we let go of the one Manalainen. I don't know if we talked about that last week. He was let go because he didn't pass his physical, which, like, come on, bro. Jeez. So we still got our other PTOs. But
man.
What?
I just said, what the heck? You got to pass your physical.
I know. You'd think, and I'm curious if something specific happened or if it's like something that you can't control or work out for, like some kind of unknown. But I mean, he played for the Jets last year, so it's not like he developed a heart defect, I wouldn't think, over the summer. But yeah, so bummer for him, it's just wild that he did play a good season. But we still got Peter Holland. I haven't really heard much about him. Kiviranta obviously made his point last night, but it should be a fun. I don't think it'll be as physical. I'm just really excited to see Duran tonight, so we definitely won't run late tonight.
That's right. We're prepping ourselves.
Yeah, Joanne is the one that people are watching. They want to see what's going down.
Oh yeah, I'm expecting hat trick, and if it's not, I'm disappointed. I say the season's a bust. you name it. It's the end of the world for me, man, if he doesn't get a hat trick.
So I'm looking at the Vegas lineup, and they don't have. So they've got White Cloud in, Roy, Haig, Brisson. Is that one of their regulars?
I think they're running Aiden Hill and Logan Thompson too.
Yeah, I hate Colasar so much. He's kind of my villain. Is that the word I'm looking for? He's my villain.
Sure.
Yeah. So Jerry Peters, wherever, and I just saw. I think that Lauren Bersois is like didn't even get a contract at all, if I remember correctly, or signed with. Yeah, kind of sad because he was the Logan Thompson at one point, and Logan Thompson was the Aiden Hill at one point. Like, man, they just burned through those goalies. But yeah, so it looks like Aiden Hill is second. So we'll see if he plays half the game or what's going down. Yeah, I just can't wait for him to not perform to the contract.
Well, I don't know, because he was a San Jose Shark. I do wish him luck, and I do want him to succeed. But at the same time, since it was with the Golden Knights, I could see why people are like, yeah, I hope you fail.
Yeah,
maybe it's just bad enough that he gets retraded to the Sharks, and then he does well again.
And he can get it back.
That's right.
The Sharks need a whole lot more than goalie, though.
Yeah, well, that was one. So my wife and I, every year, a little side story here before we go into the next segment, but we do season predictions every year for, there's all these hot takes and what we think the standings will be, final this, final that, awards, playoff. And two of my hot takes were this. So number one, Tampa Bay does not make it to the playoffs. That was my first hot take.
Yeah, it's burning.
My second hot take is that Philadelphia and San Jose do not make it to 20 wins on the season. And it pained me to say that for San Jose, but they
suck.
They're in rebuild mode or something, man. They're not going to be good. And I think San Jose is going to take the bottom tier and win the lottery for next season for whoever the new touted number one pick will be.
That's what's sad is we've been so worked up about Connor Bedard that next year it's like nobody even knows and nobody cares because we got Connor now. So
who even knows? Yeah.
We don't even have to have the draft anymore. Yeah, that the Steven Stamkos certainly some interesting information. It's kind of it made me feel sad for him. Yep. I love Steven Stamkos. I'll be perfectly honest.
And it wasn't even because of the whole Steven Stamkos news. It was more of like they got rid of.
Yeah.
They got rid of Pat Maroon. They got rid of Lauren. They got rid of
the death of Tampa. I really do.
Yeah, I really don't think he fits quite that well in their organization. And granted, he only had a half season with them, but still, it's like, will it gel? I personally don't think so. So we'll just have to see what happens. And yeah, with it didn't help with this whole Stamkos news. So, but that's one of my hot takes is I don't think Tampa makes it. And if they do, it might be just barely. But I say no.
Yep. Yeah.
So, anyways. Okay, let's go ahead and move into our next segment. Brit, we have player spotlight. I think we only have a couple of those left before regular season. Who do we have this week?
Oh, are we skipping player spotlight? Are we doing? Let's see.
No, we're going into it. Sorry if mine was obvious. If we're going into it.
So to this week is Tomas Tatar, never seen of like a regular season game with the Avs. This is definitely one of the more exciting. We talked about it quite a bit last week. One of the more exciting pickups that we've had all summer. One of the most infuriating pickups for the rest of the league. Like everybody is still pissed that we got him for what we did. So he is Slovakian. And like a lot of these guys, I'll do the research and it's really hard to dig stuff up because they're just not super, they don't have like a big internet presence. They don't do a lot of media. Well, let me tell you what, Tomas Tatar, he likes people. He's funny. He's chatty. He's answering Instagrams on all of the teams that he's been on. He would get on Instagram and answer like fan questions. There's pictures of him with puppies. He does like car karaoke with Max Domi. Like the guy has got personality to the max. So, and he does speak really good English. Even though he's Slovakian, he was drafted 60th overall by the Wings in 2009. I'm a little bit offended that everybody's like, yeah, but he's getting pretty old. And it's like, oh, he was born the year after me. So he's younger than I am, but he is, so his birthday is December 31st. He's 32, 5'10" and 173 pounds. He plays left wing, but I think he also plays a little bit of center, doesn't he? Not positive on that. So he has played for the Devils.
I know he has dabbled in the center position.
Okay. The Devils, Canadians, the Knights, and the Red Wings. Was he a Vegas? Was he their expansion draft pick? Is that?
It sounds. Oh, was he? I know he was. Maybe it was a year after. I don't remember.
Oh no, he was traded to the Golden Knights in exchange for a first-round pick in 2018. During the playoffs, he played 8 games. And I remember that was kind of a big he's been on, 5 teams now. He's not that old, but he's always been like a hot spot, like a talking point throughout every summer for who's going to take him. But he's not like an all-star, but don't you feel like he's always kind of been on the radar? He his so the way that he refers to stuff, and I'll kind of briefly read it and try to make it like not as crazy it is, but he so in Slovakia, the parents are a lot harder on their kids. There was not a lot of room for like dorking around. Everything that I read, he had 2 older brothers that played very competitive hockey. His dad was going to be a professional either baseball player or basketball player. I can't remember, but it's a very driven family. But his brothers, they were obsessed. So they lived in Slovakia. They were obsessed with Canada. They had a red maple leaf painted on the ceiling of their apartment growing up.
Oh, really?
And they had that in their house. And apparently he basically just spent all day, every day at the rink. He ended up, it sounds like he was the most successful. I don't believe either of his brothers played anything beyond Canada. Let's see. What I always think is like a really interesting thing is whether it's the oldest or the youngest of a group that is successful, because usually they say the oldest is the most driven and the youngest is the baby. So he talked about a couple times where he kind of was the opposite, that he was super, super driven, but everything, he always brings it back to his dad. I was going to read you a couple like quick excerpts from it. And it starts off, and I think that this is a translated article. Oh no, this is one from The Athletic. So he used to talk about how he would like stay up late at night and like cry and whine, and his dad would get super mad at him because he would be in the kitchen with his 2 brothers. They'd be talking about the NHL games and going over just talking hockey, and he couldn't participate, so he'd be super pissed. His oldest brother is 13 years older. Played in Canada. So they had like a punching bag hanging from their ceiling. This is like a very masculine, strong family of men. So his dad, they used to, at the end of one room, there was an apartment. In their apartment, there was a hockey net that Tomas used to work on his shot with a plastic ball. His dad would tell him if he didn't hit the crossbar 10 times, he didn't get to go to sleep. So he'd hit it 9 times, and then he'd have to start over. He said, we were all in bed at 5 o'clock in the morning because he's still hitting the crossbar. He was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
The kitchen, the bedroom with the hockey net, the bathroom where the door remained open so the discussion in the kitchen wouldn't be interrupted in case the participants had to use the facilities. So basically they never shut the bathroom door because the boys didn't want to take like a 2-minute break to go to the bathroom and have to shut and open the door. So like, it's a really interesting, and apparently his parents still live there today, and it's, I don't know, they're kind of funny, but he said he would get done at school at 12:30. He would go to the outdoor rink, and he would play 12:30 in the afternoon until 6 or 7, where his parents made him come home. He said, I wouldn't go, and I got yelled. He says yelled on a lot. So I would get yelled on, and I tried to learn something for school to get my homework done. The next day, the same thing. Like his teacher said that the cutest one was one time his teacher asked him, Tomas, you can learn to be better in school, or what can you do after? And he said, don't worry, I'll be a really good hockey player. So I thought that was kind of cute that he just knew he was going to be in that age. But yeah, so he's kind of like a dream. He played junior ice hockey championships, and the biggest knock on Tatar so far that we've seen is his lack of playoff performance. But what's weird is in these World Junior tournaments, and he's scored in all of these other really important times. So you have to wonder if it's who's you're surrounded by. 2010 World Junior Ice Hockey Championships, he scored 3 goals and 2 assists in 6 games. That's a lot. The same year, he also represented the Slovak team in the 2010 IHF National Championship, scoring 2 goals in 6 games, which is still really good at that level. In the 2012 IHF World Championship, he was the youngest player on the roster. He skated all 10 games for the silver-winning Slovakia World Championships, which I mean, it just tells me finishing with 2 goals and 3 assists. So my his performance problems, I'm wondering if they're gonna not be a problem in Colorado now. But yeah, he's played a lot of international hockey, which is always interesting because that translates differently. That play style. So we might see, kind of a different type of player. He's so funny. I wanted to do like 10 different things that I loved about him. he's got like a million different nicknames. And so I was like, well, should I explain all of them? It's like Tater. His last name is Tatar. So tartar sauce, all forms of that. But tuna seems to be kind of the resounding favorite.
Tuna is the big one. Like I said, I wanted to always call him Tater because you call him Tater.
Yeah. Well, and
it's something like that, you know.
Yep. Hockey players usually have like these grandiose stories for how they get these bizarre nicknames, and usually they're funny. And so I looked it up, and I just think this one is like a good, quick, whatever. Basically, he said, and this was like his quote, he said, "It happened when I got called up to Detroit for the first time. One day, Tomas Holdstrom was walking around me, looked at my name, and was like, Tatar effing tuna," and then everyone started calling me Tuna. So basically, some guy just
some guy used it as a friendly joke, jest, and then point, there's the nickname.
Yeah, so it was pretty funny. I don't know. Oh, it's soccer. His dad was gonna be a professional soccer player, so a family full of winners. But I'll have to look up Tater because I didn't see that one, but I'm sure he explains it somewhere. He's all over the internet. Good times, fun stuff. Yep. So yeah, that is Tomas Tatar. I think that
I mean, like I said, I want to call him that.
Call him Tater.
That's what I want to do. I want to call him Tater because that's what it looks like.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Am I breaking up? Oh,
and that's what you're good now.
Okay.
All right, we're breaking up again. Are we? Let's see. We should be getting here close to an end.
Okay. Am I good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think so. We're in and out. Good thing. It's the world telling us to go watch the game.
That's right. Yep. So if that's the case, then well, one thing that I do hope, based off of your story, I don't know if you can hear me that well or not, but I hope that the fact that he also had to shoot 10 shots off the crossbar doesn't come back to haunt him, and all we get are these crossbar and post shots from Tatar because of the coming back full circle to then slap it in the face. You know,
we're just going for beer down.
That's all we're hoping for. Hopefully that was the actual exercise. Because if that's the case, we're in great shape. But that's so crazy to me that was kind of the mentality growing up, and it made sense, you know, given that his dad was a soccer player and their whole family were just these athletic people and these champions, and so he comes from a long line of blue bloods. But no, that's super cool. That's amazing. You know, I'm really excited to have him on the team. And Brit, again, just perfect player spotlight. Thank you. Can't thank you enough for what you do here on the player spotlights. Are fun stuff. I mean, they really are. You get to learn about the team. You get, you know, fun little tidbits here and there, like how he got his nickname. Just some dudes just calling to talk.
It's crazy. He definitely had the most available like personality information of anyone. Like the guy is very social. So I think that he's going to be fun. He'll probably be one of those go-to, like that Alex Newhook replacement that they always interview every single game.
Yep, I hope so. Since he's a people person, he's kind of going to also replace Darcy Kemper in the fact that he was a very people person. You know, he loved talking with interviewees. So, good stuff. Okay, well, we'll wrap this up really fast with a Hockey 101. Hopefully I don't break up, because I think I am the problem this week. I don't know what's going on with my internet, but so quick little Hockey 101 lesson. We'll keep this here wrapped up 5 minutes or so, and then we'll sign off so you guys can get to the preseason game for Cavs and Golden Knights. So today we're going to learn about types of hockey shots. It's a kind of general term, but what I mean to say is, like, there are multiple ways to fire a puck to the net, right? There are three that I want to talk about today, the three that are most widely considered to be the most common type of shot. There's the slap shot, there's the wrist shot, and there's a one-timer. Now, a one-timer is kind of more of a term of a pass to shoot, but we'll get that in a second. So first one is a slap shot. Slap shots can definitely be one of the most powerful shots and most powerful athletic movements in all
forms of transportation athletically.
Forms of, yeah, I don't know what you want to call it, but it is one of the most powerful
Wild.
forms of athletic mobility in all of sports. It's incredible.
Mhm.
Like if you see an all-star game, they have what's called the hardest shot competition, right? That is where a puck is at rest and a guy will just come from 20 feet back. He will load up and will fire. That's this chunk of rubber flying 115 miles an hour. Brit, if I were a goalie, I would be scared out of my pants to see
Yeah,
that
I don't
coming my direction.
as an NHL goalie, and I've talked about this, I don't even know if my body, even with the gear on, if I could physically handle it. You know what I mean? Like, and I I don't know. I just don't know how they do it,
Yeah.
especially when you get hit in the face. Like,
Yeah, I don't know, because sometimes on any given day you see 90, 95 miles an hour, like it just crazy.
yeah.
But anyway, a slap shot is basically just like that, where the puck is either at a slow move or at rest. Basically, what I'm saying, it is not on the stick at all, right? It is off the stick, and the stick is coming back to load up and shoot the puck. And like we said in last week's episode, those hockey sticks can withstand quite a bit. So they can take one of these chunks of rubber and make it go from 0 to 100 just like that, and they won't break. It's pretty incredible. But
If you
that's a
wanna
slap
see,
shot.
like,
So if ever you see,
I was just saying,
Sorry, go
people
ahead.
need to go Google, like, just type in like hockey shot stick flex. The amount of bend that a stick takes that you don't see until you slow it down is incredible. To me, it's like I look at those pictures and it makes me giddy. When you see the stick practically folded in half, it's incredible.
and not break. That it's amazing, just the technology, how far it's come in the game of hockey. So anyway, basically the puck is away from the stick. He will load up and fire, and that can come from anywhere. Come from the blue line. Come from. I've seen some people do it in penalty shots before. Like there's all kinds of places where a slap shot can be done, and like I said, it's one where the goalie really has to have the fastest reaction time. Because like you said, you don't know exactly what direction, what projection the stick will hit. You just know he's loading up and he's hitting the puck when it's at rest on the ground. So shot number 2 is called a wrist shot. That is just the opposite, basically, of a slap shot. The puck is up against someone's stick, and all they're doing is kind of like basically flicking the wrist, right, to just quickly jaunt it right into the net, wherever. That one is a more controlled feel. You definitely can pick and choose where the shot can go. Definitely on a professional level, you can make it go anywhere. They are dialed in with wrist shots. They know exactly, and if they know a goalie well enough, they can say, oh, glove side high, or blocker side low, whatever it is. They can really tune that in with a wrist shot. So if you ever see somebody, you'll see it all the time when they're getting close on breakaways. You'll see it all the time with penalties, any kinds of stuff. It's basically they're moving the puck around with their blade, and they'll just kind of flick it in with the wrist. It's all in the wrist. It's not a lot of this, lifting the stick up.
Yeah,
Just
if you and
right
I always
close
say, like,
tight.
watch the slow motion. It's beautiful. It's art. The movement
It's poetic.
of the puck along the
It
stick,
really is.
that they feel off the blade, and if you just the momentum transfer, like there's so much science that goes into it.
Nope, that's exactly it. And it's skill portion of a hockey player comes in, and it all accumulates to what is a wrist shot. It's kind of like with what you said, from like a forehand hold to a backhand hold, moving back and forth. It's amazing, just to see how you can do that all while skating on ice, by the way.
That's
It's
really
amazing.
what
Yep. So that's a wrist shot. The third one, it's accumulation of both, but it uses an outside source, and it's called a one-timer, right? So a one-timer, technically, like I said, it can go into both a wrist shot and a slap shot, depending on how a pass is delivered to you. So the one-timer, like I was going to explain, it's pretty self-explanatory. One pass, one shot, done. right? You don't get the pass, dangle around and shoot. It's once it comes to you, you grab it, fling it, or grab it slap shot, and you're done, right? You'll hear that called out a lot in hockey games, especially on maybe some breakaways or on power plays when there's a cross-ice pass. You'll just hear one-timer because all it needs is to come to the correct spot, and one guy can load up and fire it and or grab a pass while he's on a break and fling it into the net. That's basically all it is. It's a pass coming to you, and you choose the shot at that point. But it is only one contact with the stick. Now, if you hold it on the stick for wrist shot or it's a slap shot, it's one contact, hence the name one-timer. So that's basically it. I mean, 3 types of shots. Be on the lookout, especially tonight, to see exactly what types of shots you can see. We're obviously going to be quizzing you next week. So make sure you are paying attention.
A lot of other shots that you didn't mention. Where's the knuckle puck?
Well, that is true. There's a bunch of different shots, but I'm just saying this is the basic, I guess, technique of shots. There's a lot of variety of how a shot is delivered. But that's,
if you watch, did you see that Connor Bedard? He's like revolutionizing like this new, like not new, but just like the toe drag snapshot, that abbreviated wrist shot with a small toe drag that is basically just a mind game for the goalie. Yeah. So it's scary. Well, and it's interesting because, with the wrist shot, you usually you kind of follow through, but with his, it's like you literally move the wrist and the stick kind of flexes just like this. And so the goalie's not seeing the follow through. Like he
doesn't know what to anticipate. It's insane.
Dude's gonna get 40 goals this year.
It's not like Austin Matthews. Oh, easy. Yeah. It's not like Austin Matthews shot where he does like super high follow through. So he kind of tries to take away the directional clue to the goalie. He just kind of throws the stick up in the air after he put the shot on. But no, definitely interesting. So like I said, be on the lookout, everybody, for the types of shots that you'll see like in tonight's game throughout the rest of the season. So that way you can now differentiate between what's a slap shot, what is a wrist shot, and what is a one-timer. So there you go. Hockey 101's lesson for this week. Hopefully that helped you guys out. Okay, that being said,
we're going to send these guys into the season. Ahead and, sorry.
That's right. They're going to be well educated. No, you're totally fine. They're going to be well educated going into the season. And like I said, we're quizzing on everybody for shot types next week, and then every single episode of Hockey 101, we're having a quiz at the end of the year. So should be all good fun. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you guys once again for following, for watching this episode, guys, for all the internet problems that I was having. Hopefully we get that cleaned up for next week. If you do like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe, follow the MHRT network so you can get notified when shows like the Cluster Puck Podcast go live. If you want to follow them at MHRT network on the various platforms of your liking. If you want to follow us, you can follow us at the Cluster Puck Podcast on Facebook, and then the Cluster Puck Avs on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. Anything else to add, Britt, before we sign off?
No, I'll just throw out a congratulations, Nathan McKinnon, number 22, retired with the Halifax Mooseheads. So he's the greatest that ever was, and he'll probably retire his number with us too. So that's all I got.
Okay, good deal. Well, let's hope this outro works here. So as always, have a great week, and go Avs go.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.